Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Manoj Singh Rana, and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. As the world fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin the program with a message of caution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. The headlines. Largest COVID vaccination drive in the world underway in India. Global leaders congratulate India on the feat. India's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.58%. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson invites Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the G7 summit to be held in June. United Nations announces breakthrough in Libya transition talks. US President-elect Joe Biden unveils roadmap for day one at the White House and beyond. And in cricket, Australia were 21 for no loss in their second innings at stumps on day 3 of the fourth and final test against India at the Gabba in Brisbane today. World's largest vaccination drive to prevent COVID-19 infection was successfully launched in India yesterday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi rolled out the drive through video conferencing. The Prime Minister said India's COVID-19 vaccination campaign is based on humane principles and those exposed to maximum risk get priority.
ऐसी ही उपलब्धियों के लिए राष्ट्र कवि रामधारी सिंह दिनकर जी ने कहा था, मानव जब जोर लगाता है पत्थर पानी बन जाता है। भारत का टीकाकरण अभियान बहुत ही मानवीय और महत्वपूर्ण सिद्धांतों पर आधारित है। जिसे सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है उसे सबसे पहले कोरोना का टीका लगेगा। जिसे कोरोना संक्रमण का रिस्क सबसे ज्यादा है उसे पहले टीका लगेगा। जो हमारे डॉक्टर्स हैं, नर्सेज हैं, अस्पताल में सफाई कर्मी हैं, मेडिकल पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ हैं, वो कोरोना की वैक्सीन के सबसे पहले हकदार हैं। चाहे वो सरकारी अस्पताल में हो या फिर प्राइवेट में, सभी को ये वैक्सीन प्राथमिकता पर लगेगी।
A total of 207,229 people across the country were vaccinated on the first day. The Health Ministry has said that a total of 553 sessions of COVID-19 vaccination were conducted today in 6 states on the second day of the launch of the vaccination drive. These states are Andhra Pradesh, in which 308 sessions were conducted today, 165 sessions in Tamil Nadu, 64 in Karnataka, 14 in Arunachal Pradesh, and 1 session each in Kerala and Manipur. Addressing the media in New Delhi, Additional Health Secretary Dr. Manohar Agnani said, considering the first 2 days, a total of 224,301 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far.
Today, being the second day of the vaccination, it was conducted in 6 states, which are Andhra, Arunachal, Karnataka, Kerala, Manipur and Tamil Nadu, and a total of 553 sessions were held today. In all these 553 sessions, a total of 17,072 beneficiaries were vaccinated, which is again a provisional figure. So the total beneficiaries who have been vaccinated till today comes to 2,24,301. पहले दिन यह संख्या विश्व में सबसे अधिक है और यह यूएसए, यूके और फ्रांस में भी पहले दिन जितने टीकाकरण हुए थे उनसे अधिक है.
Mr. Agnani also informed that in these 2 days, a total of 447 adverse events following immunization, AEFIs, have been reported, out of which only 3 required hospitalization.
447 AFIs have been reported on 16th and 17th, out of which only 3 required hospitalization. So, one has been discharged from Northern Railway Hospital, Delhi within 24 hours. Another has been discharged from AIIMS, Delhi. And one is under observation in AIIMS, Rishikesh and is fine.
The Serum Institute of India produced Covishield was supplied to all states and union territories, while Bharat Biotech's Covaxin was sent to 12 states. The Health Ministry has informed that India's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 96.58%. The government said the vaccination drive is probably the beginning of the end of coronavirus pandemic in the country. Congratulatory messages pour in from leaders of various countries around the world as India began nationwide coronavirus vaccination campaign on Saturday. It was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi through video conferencing. More than 1.91 lakh people across the country were inoculated on the first day. Foreign Minister of Nepal, Pradeep Kumar Gyavli, congratulated India on its success in developing the Covet vaccine and expressed confidence that the pandemic will be overcome soon. Mr. Gyavli was attending the 6th India-Nepal Joint Commission meeting on Saturday. Bhutan Prime Minister Lote Tshering congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the people of India for the landmark launch of the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination drive. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the Bhutan Prime Minister and said India is ready to do everything possible for a healthy planet. In a tweet, he said a vaccine which was earlier believed to be impossible in such a short time period has become a reality, thanks to efforts of country's scientists, doctors and innovators. Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, congratulated Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government on the launch of the COVID vaccination drive on Saturday. Calling it an important step, Mr. Rajapaksa said that we are seeing the beginning of the end of the devastating pandemic. Prime Minister Modi thanked Mr. Rajapaksa in a tweet and said that the tireless efforts of our scientists and frontline workers have played a crucial role in the fight against this pandemic. He added that the fast development of vaccine and its launch is an important landmark in our joint endeavour for a healthy and disease-free world. Ibrahim Mohammed Soli, President of the Republic of Maldives, conveyed his congratulations to Mr. Modi and the Indian government. In a tweet, Mr. Soli expressed confidence that India will be successful in the endeavour to end the scourge of COVID-19. British Prime Minister Mr. Boris Johnson lauded India's efforts regarding the production of coronavirus vaccine and said India already supplies more than 50% of the world's vaccines, and the UK and India have worked closely together throughout the pandemic.
Germany has delivered more than 1 million first-round doses of COVID-19 vaccines amidst rising infections and deaths from COVID-19. Health Minister Jens Spahn has reportedly said that he expects that everyone in Germany will have been offered the vaccine by summer. France enters nationwide 6 p.m. curfew as COVID-19 death toll surpasses 70,000. The virus has killed 70,000 people in France, the seventh highest toll in the world, and the government is reportedly worried by the more transmissible variant first detected in Britain, which now accounts for about 1% of new cases. The curfew was brought forward 2 hours to 6 p.m. and will run until 6 a.m. In addition, from Monday, anyone travelling to France from outside the European Union will have to show a negative test result and self-isolate for a week upon arrival. Prime Minister Jean Castex in a speech said that the measures were necessary in light of the situation.
The Austrian government on Sunday said that it will extend its COVID-19 lockdown in a bid to start easing restrictions from February the 8th. The catering sector and tourism will not be able to reopen in February, it added. Austria has reported nearly 390,000 coronavirus cases and almost 7,000 COVID-19 linked deaths since the pandemic began last year. Thousands of people marched in Vienna to protest against the restrictions on public life. According to the UN, COVID-19 has disrupted all forms of human mobility through the closing of national borders and halting of travel worldwide. The International Migration 2020 Highlights report estimates that the pandemic may have slowed the growth in the stock to international migrants by around 2 million by mid-2020, 27% less than the growth expected since mid-2019. The report was released on Saturday and has made some other major findings on the status of international migration.
Nearly two-thirds of all international migrants in 2020 were living in high-income countries. International migrants comprised around 15% of the total population in high-income countries compared to less than 2% in middle-income and low-income countries. Just over half of all international migrants lived in Europe or Northern America.
India topped the list of countries with the largest diasporas in 2020. The report notes that according to projections by the World Bank, the COVID-19 pandemic may reduce the volume of remittances sent to low and middle-income countries.
1/3 of all international migrants originated in just 10 countries. India is the leading country of origin, with roughly 18 million persons born in India who are now living abroad. Mexico has contributed the second largest diaspora, with 11 million migrants living in other countries, followed by the Russian Federation, the People's Republic of China, and the Syrian Arab Republic.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alert.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
The United Kingdom has invited Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend the G7 summit as a guest. The G7 summit is to be held in June 2021. A statement by the British High Commission said that UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is also likely to visit India ahead of the G7 summit. Mr. Johnson's earlier visit to India was called off by him due to the coronavirus situation in the UK. The G7, made up of UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the USA and the EU, is the only forum where the world's most influential and open societies and advanced economies are brought together for close-knit discussions, said the statement. The statement added that Prime Minister Boris Johnson will use the first in-person G7 summit in almost 2 years to ask leaders, including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to seize the opportunity to build back better from coronavirus, uniting to make the future fairer, greener and more prosperous. Terming India as pharmacy of the world, the UK lauded the efforts regarding the production of coronavirus vaccine. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has unveiled his agenda for day one at the White House. Biden's incoming Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, on Saturday laid out in a memo the executive orders the new president will issue on the 20th of January and in the early days of the new administration. January 20th is when Mr. Biden officially assumes presidency after winning the intensely fought elections of November 3rd last year. According to the memo, Biden will sign an order returning the United States to the Paris Climate Agreement. President Trump had withdrawn the U.S. from the agreement. Biden has promised to implement sweeping changes to the energy and transportation sector to reach the country's Paris emission goals. Mr. Biden will also sign orders to reverse President Trump's travel ban on some Muslim-majority nations. Additionally, Mr. Biden will sign an order requiring masks on all federal property and for interstate travel. Biden had earlier urged Americans to commit to wearing masks for at least 100 days to help slow the spread of the coronavirus pandemic that has now killed almost 400,000 Americans. Mr. Klain also informed that Biden will also submit a broad immigration proposal to Congress. Meanwhile, state authorities have beefed up security this weekend ahead of Democrat Joe Biden's swearing-in ceremony on the 20th of January. Authorities are hoping to avoid a repeat of the deadly Capitol Hill violence by President Donald Trump's supporters on the 6th of January, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation's FBI's warning of potential violence at all state capitals. Governors across the country have declared a state of emergency and closed capitals to the public. Washington, D.C. is under a state of high alert ahead of Biden's inauguration.
2 Afghan female Supreme Court judges were shot dead in Kabul in a car ambush. Officials said that the ambush occurred early Sunday morning in the country's capital. Ahmed Fahim Khavim, spokesperson for the Supreme Court, said that the attack on the judges happened as they were driving to their office in a court vehicle. Earlier this month, the US military for the first time directly accused the Taliban of orchestrating a spate of attacks on prominent Afghans. Colonel Sonny Leggett, spokesman for the US forces in Afghanistan, in a tweet said that the Taliban's campaign of unclaimed attacks and targeted killings of government officials, civil society leaders and journalists must cease for peace to succeed. On Friday, the Pentagon announced it had cut troop levels in Afghanistan to 2,500 as part of its deal with the Taliban to withdraw all troops from the country by May 2021. The United Nations on Saturday announced a breakthrough in the transition talks in Libya. UN Acting Envoy for Libya, Stephanie Williams, said that an advisory committee for representatives of Libya's different regions has proposed a way forward for choosing a transitional government that would lead the war-torn country to elections late this year. UN Acting Envoy for Libya, Stephanie Williams, told a news conference in Geneva that the advisory committee's members have met their responsibility with a constructive spirit, cooperative efforts, and a great deal of patriotism.
This is all driving towards the holding of these elections at the end of the year, which will return decision-making to their rightful owners, and that's the Libyan people who will, ultimately decide their representation at the ballot box.
The UN Acting Envoy said that the transitional government would be a temporary unified executive staffed by Libyan patriots who want to share responsibility rather than to divide the cake. The US Embassy in Libya welcomed the breakthrough and urged all parties of Libya to work with urgency and in good faith to establish an interim government. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Thursday said that the alliance is ready to assist Libya provided conditions permit. He also highlighted that they've seen the presence of fighter jets and mercenaries financed by Russia and all the Russian military capabilities in the region. The NATO chief also said he welcomes a Libyan ceasefire and looks for a UN-led political solution.
When it comes to Libya in particular, we have seen the presence of fighter jets, of mercenaries financed by Russia and other Russian military capabilities. For NATO, this just highlights the importance of supporting the UN-led efforts to find a political negotiated solution. We welcome the progress we have seen. We welcome the ceasefire. We continue to strongly support the efforts of the UN and also the process. We stand ready to provide support when the conditions on the ground permit, because we strongly believe that what we need is a political solution and support the UN-recognized government.
The WhatsApp messaging service announced on Friday that it would delay changes to new business features. The decision comes in the wake of the messaging app's new privacy policy was criticized by people around the world. Under updated terms, the app would be allowed to share users' data, including location and phone number, with its parent company Facebook and its units such as Instagram and Messenger. The company said it is going to do a lot more to clear up misinformation about how privacy and security works on WhatsApp. It has reportedly started issuing status alerts in a bid to allay users' apprehensions over the new privacy policy. An advertisement campaign over print and other media has also been initiated by the company for the same purpose. Privacy rights activists heavily criticized WhatsApp's changes, saying it was a severe infringement of user privacy. Italy's Data Protection Authority issued a statement. The authority believes it was not possible for users to understand what kind of changes were being introduced, nor how data would be treated after 8th of February. In Indonesia, heavy rain is hampering the search operation for survivors following a powerful earthquake on Sulawesi Island on Friday. The death toll has reached 73. Thousands of people left homeless are living in makeshift shelters. Indonesia sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates collide, and the country has a history of devastating earthquakes and tsunamis.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. 51st International Film Festival of India, IFFI, was kicked off with enthralling cultural performances in Goa on Saturday. Around 200 screenings will take place in a physical format. The IFFI opened with a screening of Danish filmmaker Thomas Winterberg's Another Round at Kala Academy. The festival will conclude on the 24th of January. More from our Goa correspondent.
Tribute to legendary filmmaker Satyajit Ray emerged as a salient feature of the event today. Satyajit Ray retrospective section was inaugurated today with the inaugural film Pathar Panchali. Veteran actor Dhritiman Chatterjee was the chief guest for the event. Meanwhile, the directors of opening films of the Indian Panorama addressed the press. Sant Ki Aankh and Panchika are the opening films for the feature and non-feature categories. Tushar Hiranandani, the director of Sant Ki Aankh, while briefing the media, said that he got inspired by a story on Satyamev Jayate show. He said that rather than only woman empowerment perspective, this film stresses more on a people who start their life at their 60s. While director of the Panchika, Ajit Kotari, said that Panchika is a film based on Venkatesh Madgulkar's story. With the Mukesh Thadi, Tushar Jadhav for AIR News from Panji, Goa.
Bangladesh will create a fund of 1,000 crore taka to provide concessional financing for building cineplexes and cinema halls for the people of the country. Announcing this at the function to give away the National Film Awards 2019 in Dhaka, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said that the government will not only open the closed cinema halls, but also modernize them to attract more and more people to the cinema halls. She assured the film community that the government will take all possible steps to develop and modernize the film industry in Bangladesh. She called upon the film fraternity to make films on the theme of the liberation war of Bangladesh and its culture to let people know the real history of Bangladesh victory. Legendary Indian classical musician and Padma Vibhushan awardee Ustad Ghulam Mustafa Khan died this afternoon at his residence in Mumbai. He was 89. Born on March 3, 1931 in Badaयूं, Uttar Pradesh, Ghulam Mustafa Khan was the eldest among 4 brothers and 3 sisters. Both of his parents belonged to a renowned musical background. He received basic classical music training from his father and later studied music under his cousin Ustad Nisar Hussain Khan. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1991, followed by Padma Bhushan in 2006 and Padma Vibhushan in 2018. In 2003, he was awarded the Sangeet Natak Akademi Award, the highest Indian recognition given to practicing artists. The music fraternity expressed deep condolences over Khan's sudden demise. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have condoled the passing away of Ustad Ghulam Mustafa Khan. The President, in his condolence message, said, Ustad Ghulam Mustafa Khan was a legend of the Indian classical music. Mr. Kovind said he is honoured to have conferred Padma Vibhushan on him in 2018. The President said in his passing, music world has lost not only a doyen but also a mentor for young generation. The Prime Minister said in a tweet that the passing away of Ustad Ghulam Mustafa Khan Sahab leaves our cultural world poorer. Last 6 of 33 Indian workers stranded in Somalia left for India from the Nairobi airport on Saturday. In a tweet, the Indian Embassy in Kenya thanked the Somalian Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Somalia-India Friendship Association for full support. A team from Nepal scaled the K2 on Saturday in a spectacular winter ascent of K2, the world's second highest mountain at 8,610 meters. 10 Nepalese Sherpas reached the summit of Mount K2 at around 5 p.m. on Saturday. Reports suggest that till today it was the only peak above 8,000 meters that had not been climbed in winter.
NASA on Saturday conducted a hot fire test of the core stage for the NASA SLS rocket. The SLS rocket will launch NASA's Artemis program to the moon.
Your engine start. And we're into plus count. Engine start. We're into plus count. Call for south speed. Continue to monitor your system. And brass is in control.
NASA tweeted that the core stage engine test ended about 1 minute into the expected 8-minute hot fire. It added that teams will assess the data from the engine shutdown to determine the next steps. Speaking of the significance of the test, NASA administration Jim Bridenstine said the launch vehicle is the same one that will launch the Orion crew capsule around the moon.
This is a test vehicle. It's also the flight hardware. This is the same rocket that by the end of this year will be launching the Orion crew capsule around the moon. Now, by the end of this year, that Orion crew capsule will be uncrewed when it goes around the moon. But by 2023, we're going to send American astronauts around the moon, and by 2024, we're going to be landing on the moon.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. US-based Wall Street Journal has reported that investments by Chinese government to fuel growth has amplified the problem of low productivity. Nepal-based Himalayan Times has reported that prohibition by India on the import of palm oil from Nepal has affected Nepali industries. Pakistan-based Dawn reports that the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, DRAP, authorized the Oxford University AstraZeneca COVID-19 shot for emergency use in Pakistan on Saturday. China's Sinopharm vaccine is awaiting approval. UK-based The Guardian has reported that all adults in the UK will be offered COVID vaccine by September of this year. And Moscow Times has reported that Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny returned to Russia from Germany and he faces imminent arrest from authorities.
Moving on to sports, in cricket, Australia were 21 for no loss in their second innings at stumps on day 3 of the fourth and final test against India at the Gabba in Brisbane today. Earlier, India were bowled out for 336 in the first innings, conceding a lead of 33 runs. Australia had scored 369 runs in their first innings. For India, Shardul Thakur was the top scorer with 67 runs. He smashed 9 boundaries and 2 sixes during the course of his innings and shared a record 123 run stand with debutant Washington Sundar, who also scored valuable 62 runs. For Australia, Josh Hazlewood scalped 5 wickets, Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc picked 2 wickets each, while off-spinner Nathan Lyon played his 100th test and scalped 1 wicket. The fourth match series is currently tied at 1-1 with Australia winning the first match in Adelaide, while India registering a win in the second test match in Melbourne. The third test match had ended in a draw which was played in Sydney. From the world of tennis, 47 players were barred from practicing for a fortnight Saturday in a major setback to their Australian Open preparations. The Australian Open is the first Grand Slam of the year. And now let's take a look at the headlines once again. Largest COVID vaccination drive in the world underway in India. Global leaders congratulate India on the feat. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.58%. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson invites Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the G7 summit to be held in June. United Nations announces breakthrough in Libya transition talks. US President-elect Joe Biden unveils roadmap for day 1 at the White House and beyond. And in cricket, Australia were 21 for no loss in their second innings at stumps on day 3 of the fourth and final test against India at the Gabba in Brisbane today. And now, before we close, as India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, we listen to his favourite bhajan, Vaishnav Janto, by artists from Germany.
Vaishnava Janata, kene kahiye je, tira parayi jane re, para dukhe ubakar kare toye, mana bhi mano na ane re, sakala lokamam chaure bandi, nilana kare Kechman Mishalar ki dan dan janan teni re Samadrishti ni Krishna tyage parakri jine matare jivata ki asatya na bole paradan Avajare haat re Mohe maya vyape nahi jene Trihavar gyajana manamare Ramanam shutale velage Shakal tirata tene tanamare Vanalo bine kapata rahite
And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.